Maz, what's going on, brother?
How are you?
I'm great, man. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man. I love this setup. I never been in here, so this is really.
This is your first time, huh?
This is my first time, man.
Oh, congratulations. Last time I saw you, you and I were doing stand up at the Laugh Factory. I had to follow you, and it was a nightmare.
You know, Brendan.
A nightmare. Once
I take down my pants and people seen that,
it's hard falling.
Hard falling. They're like, "That's a small penis." They're like, how you can follow that? They're still talking. You're on stage. You're like, "Hey, I got jokes. That was a small penis." You know, it's funny you say
crushed,
that.
Man.
Well, thanks, man. First of all, I scroll through photos sometimes, and it was March 12th, and it was interesting because last year around this time, you and I saw each other on a plane.
Yeah.
And as I was, I remember I had all these dates lined up, and people were always like, I was talking to Paul Vierzy, and we're like, "Are you going to be doing your dates?" We're like, "Yeah," because the government hasn't said anything, and the government didn't say anything. It took the NBA, a private enterprise, to shut that shit down before we all started shutting that shit down.
Yeah, especially comics. I remember I was on a plane. I was headed to New Orleans. I'm on the plane, and it's when everything's starting to get hectic. And I'm like, I'm texting my agent. I'm like, "Are you sure I'm good to do this?" Because it's like a theater of 800 people. He's like, "Yeah, you're good, man. You're good." And then my brother, who's my road manager, goes, "Hey, Bert just canceled." I'm like, "Bert Kreischer did?"
Yeah.
Like, Bert just canceled. He's in New Orleans same night, different theater, different venue. He just canceled. I'm like, "Something's going on here, dude." So I text my agent. I'm like, "Dude, are you 100% sure I'm good to go?" And he goes, "Well, we're playing by air." I just got off the plane. Play by air?
Yeah.
I'm out.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem is, and we can go back, and I don't know what your guys' politics are. It doesn't matter. The point is, we look to our leadership to go, at some point, to go, "Listen, this shit's serious. We're going to lock that shit down."
The problem is it wasn't clear. Like, the information from the top officials, whether it's Newsom, even Fauci, who, you know, Fauci to Trump to our leaders, it was just like, you have to kind of like shuffle through all this bullshit, but we didn't. It was like so.
But that's
confusing.
The point. But that's the point.
We didn't know.
But
like nothing was clear.
The point is, look, when you come to my comedy show, you're going to count on me having funny. Jokes, being funny. Yes. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to have energy. I'm there every night. I'm going to do it right.
There's no confusion.
No confusion. So we also look to our CDC. I've had a guy on my podcast who is a journalist who was studying all the epidemiology and all that stuff. He'd done all the reporting, and he was trying to, tell us an analogy. He goes, CDC is the New York Yankees of disease control, like meaning like they're supposed to be the best of the best.
Yes.
And so you look at the best of the best, and you go, all right, are we going to lock it down or not? But it falls on two comics talking and going, "You gonna do your dates this weekend?" I don't know. I'm not sure. How many people? We had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
Nation didn't either. And there was like, well, this state's locked down. This one's not.
That's what's
crazy.
crazy.
You can eat in this restaurant, not in this city.
Look, dude.
And I'm like, wait, I just want one blanket. Like, tell me what to do, but know your shit. Don't tell me wear a mask, don't wear a mask.
Straight up. You need to, listen, again, Monday morning quarterbacking, but still, you need to have your leadership from the federal government needs to step up and be like, "Yo, we're not sure what's going on, but we're just right now straight up. Let's just cancel for everybody. Cancel. Hey, Brendan, cancel your gig
because we don't know.
Maz, cancel your gig. We don't know. We're figuring this out.
Yes.
As opposed to leaving it up to us. So you and I, March 12th, were at the Comedy Store.
Great time.
And at the Laugh Factory. And it was interesting because they had gone to the thing of like 50-person capacity.
Yep.
That was what it was at the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store. And the Factory, both of them.
Okay.
And people, it was funny because people were all nervous. Nobody knew what was going on. It was like, and it got a laugh because you go on stage. I went on stage. I was like, "Are we supposed to be here?"
Yeah.
And they're all laughing. I was like, "You guys don't give a shit." Like nobody. And like you said, we had a great time. I have that picture of you and me just right there, not knowing what's coming, man.
It was so. Who knew? Who knew? But I think the other thing that was confusing is, especially even now, it's like, for us to look at the leaders and the leadership in the government, and you can look at the approval rating of our leadership and our government. It's so down because we don't trust it. Because
Absolutely.
you see Newsom,
Yeah.
who it's like, is it this serious? Because he's in a restaurant.
Right.
He didn't shut down his
Right,
vineyard.
right.
He's out and about.
Yeah.
So I know he's shutting down all the small businesses, but
Yeah.
then he's okay.
Well, what I do is I'm a person of like, I err on the side of caution. So I'm sitting there going like, all right, even if this guy says shut it down, then he goes to a restaurant himself. I go, look, this is pretty legit. Like you can look at a Fauci and be like, people always argue, well, he didn't say wear masks in the beginning. Well, you look at him and he goes, well, the data was coming in, number one. Number two, we didn't want everyone going and taking the N95s the way they were taking all the toilet paper. And then the medical people don't have masks. That's the other thing I say. Our country.
Tell us that. But don't let us find that out secondhand from like TMZ, because then it's like, all right, now we don't trust you.
But listen, here's the problem. And I don't know where you guys fall on it. I definitely am left-leaning when it comes to my politics. And I feel like there was a lot of anti-science in the previous administration, to the point where Scott Atlas shows up and he's like, let's just do herd immunity. And then someone's like, well, if you do the math, that's like 2-3 million people got to die before we just get there without all the other
1% of 3 million.
Yeah, whatever it is, right?
300 million.
Yeah. So whatever that is. So I feel like the problem was a lack of leadership, and that again goes back to look.
But you can't. But here's my thing. But the lack of leadership, 100%. I'm with you, and it was super diluted, and there's like this weird gray area, and we're locked down, but we don't know why, and we're wearing masks. Some aren't wearing masks. But if you tell me, give me a reason why, and I'm on board. But if you just say do this, and don't give us a reason, and I don't trust you in the first place, it's hard to.
But see, that's the problem.
Because I think the left and right wasn't straight.
Well, listen, the problem is what you just said is when you find out things like when you see Newsom at the restaurant, you see Pelosi getting the hair thing done, you go, oh my God, like are they taking this seriously or not? But what you just said, you guys are smart enough to be able to look at and be critical thinkers and go, all right, you know what? Yes, I wasn't trusting it before. Now the data says, obviously it's basic logic. Stay far from each other. The odds of you getting that guy's spit in your face are going to be diminished. Put a mask on. The odds are going to be diminished. It's just basic logic.
Yes.
And the problem becomes where you're right. We have this skepticism in our head, and now we're going like, who's telling the truth? Who's not telling the truth? But that goes back to what I was saying. My number one issue with Trump as president was a lot of people voted for him because they were like, we want an outsider. We want someone who doesn't.
We don't want a politician.
We want someone who comes from. And I said I said it in my Netflix special, my previous special. I was like, this is the only thing in the world where people go, I want an outsider. You never go to get an operation and go, I want a guy who's never done surgery to operate on my eye, right? Yeah. And so we see what happens when you bring in an outsider. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'll be honest with you. Listen, I'm not saying Biden is perfect, but I will tell you, man, ever since these guys have come in,
America's chilled out.
I've breathed a sigh of relief.
I agree.
Dude, first of all, we were under 4 years. I feel like we were bombarded by Trump's, again, I don't care if you like him or not. You have to admit, every morning he'd wake up, 10 tweets, 20 tweets. So it was like the game Tetris.
It's unprofessional.
The blocks are coming, and you're like, oh my God. And I go, these past 2 weeks, I've been so happy to wake up and just listen to just real news. Yeah. They're like, oh, there's global warming. I'm like, yes, there is. There's a pandemic. Yes, we're gonna die.
But like a lot of comics and like a lot of those late night hosts. What are you gonna do now?
What are they gonna do now?
Trump's out. Are you gonna still do Trump bits?
No. Listen,
that's your game plan?
Let me tell you something. Because as someone who's on the left, and I'm an Iranian American, I'm an immigrant, right? And my mom, first of all, a lot of Iranian Americans turn around and like Trump,
100%.
including my own mother. That was an interesting one. So it was funny because when Biden won, I called my mom. I'm like, did you see he won? And she's like, well, now what are you going to make jokes about? I was like, you too, Mom? You're coming at me right now? But the truth is, listen, man, I was doing jokes. I'm happy to go back to talking about my kids.
Yes.
By the way, Biden's going to do shit that we're going to make fun of, right?
Yeah, naturally.
And people always say, people ask me, they go, Trump must have been good for comedy. I go, motherfucker, no, because two reasons. Number one, he said so much crazy shit. It was never, you could never keep up with him, right? He'd say one thing. I remember he was like, Little Rocket Man. I go, I need a Little Rocket Man joke. Pocahontas, I need a Pocahontas joke. I need a Stormy Daniels joke. And you go on and on and on, and you can't keep up with the guy. So that was number one.
And everyone's doing it.
And everyone's doing it, but you got your point of view on it. But it's like, if you're a touring comedian, if you're not a late night host who's got writing team and going, today Trump said, and let's go down it.
It's hard to keep up.
If you're a comedian who's going to spend a year working on your hour and then go do that hour, and you do that hour, and then people watch it, they're like, wait, when did Trump say Rocket Man? Yeah. Oh, that was before the impeachment.
The timing is off.
And before it's done.
Too hard to keep up.
That's number one. The second thing that nobody talks about, and I felt it firsthand, and I don't know, Brendan, if you guys ever talk about Trump in your stand up or not. But
I stay away from it.
I'm very political because, again, coming from an immigrant background, I'm like, I got to talk about this, right?
If it's your thing, yeah, I double down on
I
it.
have to. And so it was interesting because as much as people go, oh, he was good for comedy, I realized once he's gone, I realized that I had a certain level of anxiety because people got so sensitive to Trump jokes, Trump supporters.
Yeah.
So before Trump became president, when he was just the host of The Apprentice, I would do Trump jokes, people would chuckle, life goes on. Once he starts running for president, starts saying some racist shit,
Becomes personal.
starts saying some other shit, people come on board and they go, yeah, I love it. He's saying what he's saying, he means what he means.
Yeah.
And then you do a joke and people start yelling at you in the audience. So I felt like there was a certain level of anxiety. Anytime I would, because the way I would do my show is I would do like kid material. Now I'm going to my Trump jokes. So I would kind of like
Me too.
put my toe in by going, all right, guys, I'm about to do some Trump jokes. You all need to calm the fuck down. I'm not making fun of your grandmother.
Yeah.
My own mother's a Trump supporter. I've had to deal with this shit. So just relax. And I'm going to do some jokes about Trump. And I might even have some Biden jokes. Just calm down.
Yep, bro.
And I swear to God, even when you do that sometimes,
Still.
They still get weird.
you just get so
Just a
that
weird
caused
time.
anxiety for me.
Yeah.
Like, why is it as a comedian I need in America? Why is it as a comedian in America? I'm not in, some despotic country in some far off land where they go, don't make fun of the king.
Yeah. You're not North Korea.
I'm not in North Korea, right? I'm in the United States where we're supposed to, as an audience member, you're supposed to come and be like, that was, I didn't find that funny, but I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to lose my mind. So I had that anxiety going the whole time. And I still, like, when I slowly put my toe into the Trump water, I'm still, it's become a cult in a way, in that it's fine to be a support. I love Barack Obama, but you come and tell me, hey, Barack Obama, under Barack Obama, there was the most drone attacks ever than any previous president. I'll be like, you're right. He wasn't perfect. He did some bad shit.
Yeah, whatever president you side with, I can pick apart some of it. It's just that comes with the territory.
And that's what America's about, is we should laugh at our
Agreed.
leaders. We can make fun of our leaders. Why? Because we're supposed to expose their hypocrisy, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Nancy Pelosi or Donald Trump. We should be able to be like, wait a minute, you're going to the restaurant, tell me I can't go, you going to the restaurant? You understand what I'm saying? So as much as people go, oh, what are you going to talk about now? He was good for comedy. I go, man, I feel the level of anxiety that guy caused me in my day-to-day, and then even in stand-up, it was nuts.
Wasn't worth it.
Yeah. How about when I got off stage at the Laugh Factory, right away you go, bro, I figured out what you look like. I'm like, what? This is in front of a bunch of other comics. I'm like, what? You're like, you look like a Rottweiler who got his shit together.
Oh, you do, bro. Yeah.
Come on, man.
I'm just saying, dude.
Grab that mic, son.
You do. Look, bro, look.